Yeah, I know. I looked into that for you. I don't know why. They don't know why it's an issue because it's a ground. That's an
Are
actual
we
gaming
live?
issue that, or something. There must be. Can you use them buttons anywhere else?
Yes, we are. We Buster.
Just not Grand Theft Auto.
Buster. Double think, clouds your mind. If you walk that road, you'll be left behind, like swaying branches in the air, lost in confusion, filled with despair. Arguments and fallacies, taken from the book of lies and deceit. There are those who will never see the gift of Logos that was given to me. And I know how water flows, and I know what level shows it. You'll be wasting your time trying to change what's been defined. I know what I know. I know what I know. You don't know what you don't know. Blackpool paradox. You think it's measuring, but it's not. It's optical phenomenon. All you fools think you know what's beyond. I know how water flows, and I know what level shows it. You'll be wasting your time trying to change what's been defined. I know how water flows, and I know what level shows it. You'll be wasting your time trying to change what's been defined.
Horizon means the line where the sky meets the earth. Yeah, that's the definition I'm going by.
All
And I'm saying-
horizontals are
No, let me
parallel to
finish.
the... And we are
Not too bad. Look,
live.
fine.
Welcome.
A lot of good
Hump Day. Traditional Hump Day.
stuff coming back to the scene.
We're not doing the Trivium today. We're saving that for tomorrow. We're going to have a special guest tomorrow. Beddy, an author. He's wrote books on logic. A real logician, supposedly. so he's coming round tomorrow. We're going to talk about. We're going to go over the trivium, and I'm hoping because he did the early stuff of the Organon. That'll be so that we can go over some of the old stuff again. We hopefully will be going over a little bit of what he just came over to talk about. Talk about with the on the stuff. Oh, I can't do that. I'm gonna have to quit out of this. It's too close. If Emma's listening. Yeah, we Saragaki went over his thing last night. He went over the what do you call it? The perpendicular logic.
Yeah.
Last night, which I think you did quite well.
I've been thinking back. I would like to go over it again at some point in the future to hammer it down a little more, because I know I could have been a little bit more detailed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you like to do that now, or would you want to let us load this?
What we could do is we could go over that, because we went over one of those graphics yesterday. We could do the other one right now.
Yeah, it's just a minute. Let me get this started to upload. Right, and the graphic of yours, is that big enough on the YouTube? Let me... Let me just sort this out. Is that... Let me get rid of that. We are live. And yeah, it's not really... Get rid of the next level. There. I don't know whether that's good. Is that good for you guys on YouTube? Does look a little bit smaller writing, but I can make it out. Is this what you want to go over, this vertical 1, vertical 2, horizontal AD? It's sort of pretty much one of the parts of your picture.
Yeah, the one we went over yesterday was basically just this one, just more visually appealing, right? It's the exact same setup and going through the exact same steps as you see written out here. It is literally the exact same proof. It's just that the one we went over yesterday is more visually appealing to look at. That's all.
Yeah. This is wrote out more in a traditional mathematical proof sense, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Now that it's a blur. Yeah. I don't think we can make it any bigger.
I'm looking at it on YouTube. Fine.
Yeah.
It's not blurry to me.
Oh, well, there you go. Gadget. Get a better picture. Get a better connection. Put your glasses on. Right. So, do you want to go over this? I am loading up the conversation that we've just had with Eddie. So if you want to give a brief outline of it, I mean, I know you did it yesterday, but
yeah, I think it would be good to go over it again, just to clarify if anybody yesterday had any questions they didn't get an understanding of or anything.
Yeah, now, so can I just point out as well, from at the beginning, right from looking at this picture, there's one picture, there's, it's like an upside down pi symbol, if you will, with what's very obvious for you to look at in this picture is vertical 1 and vertical 2. There are 2 verticals in this picture.
Yes, and that is really important to note.
Yeah. Go on. Sorry. Yeah, I just that's something I visually look at immediately in that picture and note there are two verticals numbered even.
Yeah, I specifically wanted to separate them because you can, as we will learn here soon, that you can name the lines CD on the left hand and EF on the right hand. Just that, line CD and line EF. But I wanted to be very specific and put vertical on there as well. And how this all came about is based wholly around the two definitions that is stated right underneath for vertical and horizontal. Those two definitions are the starting point for this. So if we start off with the horizontal, it's parallel to, in the plane of, or operating in a plane parallel to the horizon or to a baseline level. That is the definition of horizontal that's used. Now anybody with any mathematical background will go along with that just fine, and also the visual line horizontal, the AB line in the picture, everybody will go along with that. That's a horizontal line. And then the definition of vertical, perpendicular to the plane of the horizon or to a primary axis, vertical. So both line CD and line EF have been put on the horizontal line perpendicular to it to go along with the definition. And so it is given by the fact that vertical 1 and 2 are both perpendicular to the horizontal. As you can see, it is given therefore that ADC, that angle ADC, is a right angle. And also it's given by the same virtue of the perpendicular line that AFE, that angle over there on the right, is also a right angle. That's given by the definition. They are perpendicular. And I feel a lot of people misinterpret or misunderstand that very important point. So what they always ask, and they know who they are, and probably all of you do too, you have to prove, right, that the verticals are actually parallel to each other, because their claim is that they're not. So okay, I put there, the goal of this is to prove that CD, aka vertical 1, is parallel to EF, vertical 2. That is what my goal of this whole entire thing is. So where I'm starting off is step 1. We start at step 1 here. If two lines are cut by a transversal and the corresponding angles are congruent, the lines are parallel. So the angles we are talking about now are those angles that's given, ADC and AFE. So they are both right angles as given by the perpendicular relationship between vertical and horizontal. So step 1 and 2 is just to tell you that both of them are right angles by definition and by measurement if you want to measure it. And step 1.3, hence ADC equals AFE. They are equal. They are both right angles. Axiom 11 will tell you that all right angles are equal. So that's where we start off. We really want to pinpoint the fact that those angles are congruent. They are both right angles, and hence they are both equal angles. And now on step 2, which I guess would be step 5 if I number them like that. Number 2, corresponding angles are on the same side of the transversal, which in this case is on the upper side, on the above the line, right? One interior and one exterior to the lines, but not adjacent. So adjacent angles would be, if you take CD, that line, where it meets AB, you would have one right angle on the left side of that and one right angle on the right side of that. Those would be adjacent angles. And of course, in this case, they're both right angles, so they would be equal here as well. And so both point D, where that line CD intersects AB, and point F, where that line EF intersects the same line AB. Both of those points are on the same straight horizontal line AB. And that's a given by the fact that they are two vertical lines perpendicular to a horizontal line. Again, back to the definitions of horizontal and vertical, that's really important here. So because that angle ADC and the angle AFE are congruent, meaning they are equal to each other, and these two lines, these two vertical lines, are sitting on the same straight horizontal lines. That means that CD is provably parallel to EF. And that is the proof for the parallel verticals. And this is wholly based on the definitions that we use, which is the same definitions that everybody uses. There's nobody who's using any other definition than this. And go to any math book, you'll see this. A regular grid system in any math book is working around this very principle of vertical and horizontal being at right angles to each other. So if anybody wants to add on to or ask any questions, feel free.
This is purely geometric, this, isn't it? This is
Yes.
led by this is what you would call a geometric proof, as laid out mathematically, geometrically,
and step by step logically.
Yeah, and literally what you would call this is a mathematical, geometric, formal proof to take you through all of the steps to actually prove these right angles and the lines being parallel, perpendicular, to take you through the definitions and everything. I would say this is the sort of thing you would see at university level type, being able to lay out a mathematical proof, albeit one of the basic ones, right? This is perhaps where you'd start off, right? Yeah.
This is very basic compared to if you really get deep into geometry, you can have some really complex and intricate proofs of some stuff, but this is very simple. It's literally just two straight lines being at right angles to each other. And how do you prove that two separate straight lines, both at right angles to the same straight line, are actually parallel? Now, it is obviously true, but how do you actually prove it logically? And it's a basic level, geometric proof. Yeah, I would agree with that. It is not complex, to put it that way.
I'm just queuing up there. What's to come from a logician? How well do you think you? And what about everybody else? I bet it sounds really confusing to most people, that, doesn't it? With all of the, it does sound confusing, but it's because it's a proof. It has to lay everything out in a sort of statement way, which I don't know. I wonder if people understand that as being a proof, right?
Yeah, that is the question, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The big question is, what is it that people are expecting when they ask for a proof.
Yes, yes, exactly. And that is what I did. That is why I did this.
Yeah.
Because that question gets thrown around. And I'm not so sure that the people asking the question is actually aware of like what would be the answer to the question. So I did this to show visually and logically, step by step,
Yeah.
what the actual proof to the question or answer to the question would be.
Yeah, this is, I would say, this is a geometric proof laid out in a way undeniable, right? Just for perpendiculars to the same line. Like you'll hear us say, it's a definition in book 11, definition 3. Basically states a perpendicular to a plane will be such as it will make a perpendicular to every point, every other straight line in the plane. This is to follow on from that, right? It's, well, in fact, this is the one preceding it, because this is just about lines. Book 11 talks about the proof of the definitions of a plane. Well, yeah, this is just an extension of that. But
yeah, absolutely. That horizontal AB line in my diagram here, you can easily have that be AB as a horizontal plane as well. It doesn't make any difference to the proof.
This is highlighting, I would say, one of the paralogisms that everybody must have, because its geometric proof is undeniable. The only thing that was happened here is because it's been purposely targeted towards a specific group of people that we know get triggered at those two words, vertical, horizontal. They're both perpendicular. The relationship of vertical and horizontal exactly follows this statement geometrically. So you're forced to make a choice. Do you follow the geometric proof that is an actual proof? Or do you say that vertical and horizontal are different in reality than described here? Because vertical and horizontal will be described just like this in reality.
Yeah, that's why it's so important when you go through especially geometric proof that you have your definitions in order. And that's why I start off with the definitions, because we have to relate this kind of stuff back to reality at some point. Otherwise, what are you actually even talking about? So yeah, we have to relate it back to reality, and that's why the definitions have been put down, because these are the definitions that we use in reality.
Well, they're the definitions we use in reality, but you will find out that paralogisms are everywhere, and sometimes it just can't be, is the only answer that they have. It just can't be.
Yep.
So this is a literal geometric definition. I always, when I first looked at logic, it always said, if you want to have deductive logic, right, something that you can have, the difference between inductive and deductive is with deductive, you end up with a definite answer. With inductive, it's a maybe, possibly. There's a difference between the two, and if you want to be sure of deductive logic, you put it into geometry, because geometry has proofs that it makes it absolutely certain there will be a definitive answer at the end of it if you put geometry within your logic. It's within that opening speech of the geometry, the Institute of Geometry or whatever. we have to get back to that. But yeah, the idea of proof. What is proof? What do you require as a proof? Now, in this arena, everybody has different proofs and all sorts of different ideas of different things. Well, this is the literal proof in geometry. This is proof in logic to a nth degree, right? This is explosive logic that hasn't exploded. And they've built an entire geometric system on this logic. Wrote out like this. So as far as I see, the only thing you can deny is that horizontal and vertical do not fit these lines. But they do. Definitively. I'd say this is the link between reality and geometry that's always been there, that has to be denied if you have a model. You're done for the moment a model and this geometric logic hits you.
Yeah, you get faced with a choice, a crossroads, right? Now you're gonna have to decide for yourself. Anybody listening, this is personal for you to decide. What will you go with? Will you go with the geometric proof, actual proof, or will you go with my model dictates? That is literally your choice right now.
Yeah, and I every time I've actually talked to other people about this, they've ended up saying it's a tautology. I.e., it's an obvious truth. It can't be denied. It's a sound and valid statement. You can't be argued against. I think that's what a tautology is, isn't it?
It's an obvious logical truth or something like that, if I remember correctly. Like, it's undeniably true, obvious. I don't remember the definition for it, but it's something along those lines as far as I remember.
Yeah. Now, I can't see, I can see why people will, is globe, that's easy, but there's no formulation of an argument behind it. So I call this, if you have a globe model, then you're going to be faced with one of the biggest paralogisms you've ever had, because you're going to be forced to have to justify how not proof for your model is. But there will be no basis for you to formulate your conclusion of globe, because this is the proof, and there's no curve in that. That's literally the best they could hope for, isn't it? The closest anybody's ever going to come to of a proof is that, because vertical and horizontal are perpendicular. Now, I've been saying this for ages. All you need is perpendicular. And I'm pretty sure whoever designed the cross knew that too. There's no curve to it.
Absolutely none. They are called right angles also for a reason, because that is the right angle where the vertical and the horizontal meet. In reality, I'm talking about now. I'm pretty sure, I'm not going to make the statement of fact because I wasn't there and neither was anybody else, but the fact that the surface of liquid water at rest forms a horizontal plane was definitely something that was discovered and used as a reference that you could, build on and work from logically in reality. I'm pretty certain. I'm not going to claim it as indefinite, but the fact that vertical and horizontal are perpendicular to each other, I think, was discovered a long time ago and understood very well by people in the past.
Yeah. By people making plans and building.
Yeah, for example, yeah.
Laying out plots of land.
Surveying.
Yeah.
I did some research on the history of surveying, and of course, grain of salt when it comes to researching history, of course, but apparently land surveying, goes back to like Egypt, according to official sources. And this was at the foundation of that. Surveying to make sure that, like ownership of land after a flood, they would be able to measure up and make sure that everybody still had the same amount of landmarks, and everything was still the same after a flood, is the story anyway, right? But the fact that it goes that far back officially means that this vertical and horizontal perpendicular relationship was well understood at that time already.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, geometric proofs. I mean, does any of this geometry that we use in here and proofs, like maths, right? Because maths is just another formulation from the same logical system as geometry.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah. Is that any different than reality? I mean, is reality different than the maths? Is pi, because that's geometric. You've got to go with that, right? Pi would be the relation between geometry and the number.
Yeah.
Right? The mathematics, let's say, the connection between geometry and maths is related through pi, and you can only get exactness through the numbers, and the numbers are related to the circle, which is the diameter over the circumference over the diameter. So the geometry and the numbers are. Now, does that relate to reality to anyone? I don't know whether this is philosophical questions now or what.
Well, it's we would have to go to the definitions that start off in the very beginning of Euclid, I'd say, and work our way. But when you end up with being able to, postulate 3, to draw a circle, or to describe a circle, rather, with any center and at any distance from that center, the fact that you can do that, I say, would be a strong indicator that there is a big relationship between geometry, math, and reality in that sense.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think we came to that conclusion a long time ago, and that has been the basis of the hatred that we end up getting from a group of people that are just absolutely obsessed with the model. That I think they're jealous. They're jealous that we actually do have proofs such as this. Because they like to go around saying a certain other group of people don't know anything about maths and don't know trigonometry and don't know geometry, and the amount of things that other people don't know is amazing. But this is, you could take that to any university, to any high school, right? Take it into a mathematics department. Get the head of department to fault it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I challenge anyone.
Yeah. mathematical proof. Like I keep saying, mathematically and geometrically, verticals are parallel to each other and horizontals are parallel to each other, mathematically and geometrically. It's a truth statement. You can't get around that. When anybody was asking me about proof at the beginning, I would say it's one of the easiest things to prove is that geometrically, because that's where proofs are. And how difficult is it to prove that, like Saragaski's shown here, if the water level is horizontal, then all perpendiculars to it will be vertical. That's why we did the test. Is the water level horizontal? Well, it obviously is. But how do you prove that? Not to anybody else. How do you prove it to yourself? The big question. Well, you could prove it geometrically. Easy.
And then what else would it be? And then what are the consequences of that?
Mm-hmm.
Right? There's all sorts of questions that you need to ask yourself then.
Yeah. That's what we've been fighting all along. It's a concept that it's been so plain and obvious for us to see that the geometry and logic and mathematics. So there's loads of proofs that go to show that it's not a globe, but there's a lot of people that really like that model. And I don't know how you get around that. You got anything to go on there, Saragaki? Do you want to finish it off? Anybody else got anything to say?
Personally, I like pointing out that this is an obvious truth that most people will understand intrinsically if you ask, if they don't think too hard about their model, right? But this is geometric proof of the fact itself, and I hope people don't, hand wave it away or disregard it as just geometry, because where else would you find your proof if not with geometry?
Yeah, I'll point out again. If you take away vertical and horizontal from this...
Yeah, just the text, you mean?
Yeah, well, just the lines, A, D, C, all of the letters and everything else, and put perpendicular and parallel, right? Just take out vertical and horizontal. Proof. Undeniable proof. The only fact is that it's got vertical and horizontal on there. It's just added 2 words. Now, the vertical is perpendicular to horizontal. So that's a true statement also. And horizontal is a straight line and vertical is a straight line, geometrically. Can't get around that. So this is basically what we're faced with. What we've been faced with for years. Is that what you imagine life is, or in reality, or not? And if not, like Kevin says, what are you going to replace that with? How could you replace that? Because I know, Globers, this is Hump Day. They want to bend that horizontal.
Yeah, not everybody wants to do that.
Yeah.
Some of them want, but...
Some of them want to put it on top of a circle, like that.
Yes.
But then you can't have the verticals like that.
Yes.
It's strange how people imagine that you can have a perpendicular to a circle. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then you have to go and tell everybody that does understand how a water level works. And I'm not just talking about the people in this Discord. I'm talking about go do a search in YouTube for water levels. You'll find lots of them. I remember one distinctly where I think the title was a water level is can be more accurate than a laser.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, go, again, outside of this arena, right, where kind of the normies live.
Yeah.
It's self-explanatory. Now, I would grant that for 99.9% of those people, right? If you ask them, hey, Earth, Big E, Earth, round, yeah? Oh, yeah, absolutely, right? So therein lies an interesting thing, right?
Yeah, that's the big paralogism, isn't it?
It is. It's huge.
Yeah.
But not a lot of people think in these terms, right? It's why I think so many people in this arena that have heard us talk about the organon and the trivium and those trying to go back to those first principles, they have such a hard time with it.
Yeah.
They don't like it.
I have something to add to that. In a group that I was in weekly, one guy fought me tooth and nail, right? Like slide just like we deal with here. Obviously had an issue with one of my foundational beliefs that water doesn't curve. Well, although he thought he lived on a sphere and was very sure that he was doing all the space stuff and spinning and doing all that, right? He couldn't grasp that water had to be under his feet, like had to curve around. Would fight me just as hard on that water doesn't curve. And I'm like, dude, you live on a sphere. It has to curve in your model. Where your fantasy, where you're living right now in your mind, that water is curving. And in front of the whole group would say, no, water doesn't curve. That's how bad it is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of the big paralogisms, right? Initially, when we said that it's showing people contradictions that they didn't realise. And that is literally what Cogdis is. It's letting them see the contradiction that they hold. Because everybody knows that a water level is horizontal and the horizon is this horizontal plane. All horizontals are parallel, but they've got a globe. And when you put the two things together and show people those two things and put them together, you've got cogdis, cognitive dissonance. And anything can happen depending on the person, how they react to that thing, because it's a mental thing, isn't it?
Some people go into uncontrollable laughter.
Yeah. And some people just will blow a gasket. I mean, I'll shout out Nathan. I think a while back, him and his crew were talking about the mental illness that some people do have and are going to have if they contemplate this and the dialetheism that they have to live with in their minds. They'll just blow a freaking gasket.
Shout out,
They'll
dog,
lose
dog,
it.
dog.
There you go.
Yeah.
I think dog takes the cake because it's recorded. Just one little simple question and asked from a guy who normally isn't calm that was being very calm.
Yeah.
Strange.
They become blind to these paralogisms because they've built up something on faulty logic. And if you don't have people who you can talk to around these logics that may be faulty, but I mean, who are you to know? If you're the only one talking about it, you can convince yourself of anything. I'm pretty sure of it. I've seen loads of things like that where people have definitely convinced themselves of all sorts of things. I've done it myself, and it has taken people. People have helped me realise some of these taught paralogisms, taught falsehoods, but I mean, they might not be falsehoods to the people that are teaching them if they've got a faulty logic themselves. It's a hard thing to deal with. Any sort of contemplation on these sort of things. And I think that's why we tend to get quite a lot of flack. Because these are tough things to think of. I mean, they will send you crazy. If you don't have a good team of people around you that can, you know, that are there to help you. And I guess that only comes from people that are, let's say, nice to begin with. Right? If you think everybody else is like you and you're just wanting to help people, then you find a good group of people that are willing to help. Then you can talk honestly and not get heated. But if you think everybody is out to get you, then it's a lonely path to be on your own to do that sort of stuff. Let me cue this video up. Oh, you don't need to, do you? It's just you in Discord. Oh, where is it? There we go. Right. Streamlabs. You guys don't need to see that. Right. Can you guys in Discord see the video pad?
Yep.
Okay. So, and YouTube, I'm going to play this now. Let us know whether you can hear it.
Yeah, he's just he's at them.
Yeah, I'll try and make it on Thursday evening for the. Is that Raven and Kevin?
Yeah. Raven should be back on Thursday for the. How's that? Does that look good for everyone in YouTube? Can you hear that? This is Beddy. He surprised us a little bit earlier. I think Saragaki just asked him to come in, or
No, he asked me.
he asked you if he could come in and have a chat.
No, he asked me. He had 15 minutes if I could come in.
Nice. Okay, so that was literally just before we were about to go live in the bit. So that was it. Sound good? Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Okay, right. Let us know in the YouTube how it's going. I've got the two screens open. So this is Beddy coming in beforehand.
Yeah.
Trivium night.
Yeah, there's police around. So
Trivium night. Yeah.
rob some shops, rob some banks, some houses and that.
All right, let's check it. Do you know how to do it, Emma? All right, yeah, we're trying to get him Beddy in.
Yoda, are you there?
Crucially, just now.
No, you can go ahead. I mean, that's why I made this one specifically first, because I knew it would get to this where if I hadn't done this already, then it would be easier for.
Okay, so Beddy said he's coming round tomorrow to talk to Kevin. And did you hear that, Kevin, at the beginning? I might have clipped a bit of it off.
Yep, yeah, I heard.
Right, so Beddy's coming round tomorrow to do this, and this is a surprise thing. Obviously, I know Saragaki went over this. Was it last night? Oh, I think you've done it a few times, right? Saragaki has his the proof. Most people, if you've been watching us, you know what it is. So Beddy's decided he wants to have a word with Saragaki, and I don't know how long we've got here. Maybe 5, 10 minutes, 15. Here we go. let us know if you want to stop it, Saragaki, or anything. Anybody wants to give us a shout.
For everyone to follow along.
Okay. Shall I talk through it, my understanding of it, or do you want to?
Yeah, that'd be really nice. I mean,
I'll
I
do
went
that.
over this very same thing yesterday on the live stream. I don't know if you caught that.
No, I didn't. Okay, so as I read it, or well, as anyone reads it, if two lines are cut by a transversal and the corresponding angles are congruent, the lines are parallel. Actually, Euclid says alternate angles. I don't have a diagram to explain that, but if you can see my cursor, it's ADC and AFE. There's an angle there, and there's an angle there. ADC and AFE.
Yeah, both on the
Someone
left
explain
side
the
of
note.
each vertical.
Yeah, so the angles, the corresponding angles, it says congruent here, or equal will do. Then the lines are parallel. And Euclid actually proves something very similar for alternate angles in Book 1, Proposition 27. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, that you can. Yeah, he proves that those lines will be parallel. In this case, they
Correct,
are
that's right.
specifically
Hey, Bev,
equal,
we
as
can't
in
see
the
your
both
stream
the angles are right
from
angles.
Discord on
Yes.
YouTube.
Sorry, what was that? Cat?
On YouTube, we can't see your stream.
Yeah, it's just a video.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, could you then maybe pull up the infographic or the proof again? So, because that's what we're talking about, the same diagram we just had up earlier for anyone who saw that.
Yeah, I'll put that there. You're right. If we leave that one up on screen while we're doing
Yeah,
it. Yeah. Okay.
That's
They
right.
don't
Well,
have to be right angles, right? As long as
that's
they
a general proof.
corresponding
Yeah,
angles
they
are
don't have to
congruent.
be. Yeah, they don't have to be right angles as long as they're equal.
Mhm.
Proof will go through.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you've assumed.
No. I'm building this on the definitions that it all starts off with.
That's right. So those two, we've said CD is perpendicular to AB, and EF is perpendicular to AB, which it follows that a definition that the two angles are right angles. Hence, the corresponding angles are equal. Therefore, CD, I'm jumping through here, CD must be parallel to EF. Now, that is totally uncontroversial.
Yeah, I'd say.
Yeah, and that's the geometrical part. The rest is logical.
Uncontroversial.
But my question now is, so I think, yeah, so looking at the bottom half of that square, looking at the diagram now, that is all the geometrical bit.
Mhm.
The question now is the rest of it, and you got some definitions, those are fine.
Yeah, those are the same definitions as in the one underneath.
That's right. My question now is, what does that prove? You've proved that for any given horizontal line, let's just check here. Yeah, AB is defined as a horizontal line, or assumed to be a horizontal line, with the definition of horizontal. For any given horizontal line, any two straight lines that are perpendicular to that horizontal will be parallel. That's unimpeachable, no problem.
Absolutely.
The question is,
Unimpeachable.
what does that prove beyond that?
No. Let's answer your question. What does that prove beyond that? It proves, based on the definition of vertical there, perpendicular to the plane of the horizon, right? That is the plane we're talking about, AB. And so it proves that they will both be called vertical because they're both perpendicular to the horizontal.
Well,
So
if
it
they're
proves, or it shows you the identity of vertical in this case, meaning if either of those two lines were not perpendicular to the horizontal, they would in fact not be vertical. That's what we're
right.
going
Well, that
with.
is a horizontal line. Agreed. Said yeah. It could actually be any AB could be any straight line at all. It's still proof is still valid, but you've chosen to nominate that AB as a horizontal line. But my question remains, what does that top line mean? The Q perpendicular to P, therefore, could you say in English, in words, what that means?
Yeah. Let me just give you the backstory of where the symbols came from originally. Pause for a second. You know the whole idea of you have to mind your P's and Q's, right?
Yeah.
And the t-shirt logic, you remember?
I remember that, yeah.
Okay, and then you know, of course, what modus tollens is. If P, then Q, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So within the framework of all of that, which is where we came through this whole process, that's where the P's and the Q's in this symbolism up there comes from. It's because I specifically wanted to use the P and the Q to symbolize the horizontal and vertical, because look at how symmetrical and beautiful it looks. But yeah, anyway, the dagger, as you know, means it is true that. And obviously it is true because I just proven it to you in the diagram. Q being vertical, and that upside down T, of course, is perpendicular, but I've seen it used with other meanings, but I'm using it to mean perpendicular. And then you have therefore, the 3 dots, obviously, and those 2 parallel lines just simply means parallel. And the upside down V means and. It's the
I know that, and I read it as Q parallel to Q and P parallel to P. Is that correct? Is that how I'm, or is there a universal quantifier embedded in there? So you're saying all.
Yeah, it is. I can read it from the
puzzles me
start.
is the bit after the therefore.
Okay, so do you agree with the one in front? It is true that vertical is perpendicular to horizontal.
I'd quibble a bit with the way you're using variables, but let's put that to one side. Yeah.
The way I'm using what?
Variables.
Which variable would you?
Q and P. Q.
I want to stop it there.
Yeah, he didn't answer my question because I was in the process of asking him, like, what kind of variable would you even introduce in the first place here? Because I'm not using variables whatsoever.
Yeah, he's trying to put across, I think, seeing as the only things that are in contention here is line, straight lines, or horizontal vertical. Now, maybe a question for everybody to ask themselves. Are horizontal and vertical variable within the framework of what horizontal and vertical is? Is there a variable within it? I think you'll... Go on.
Before you press play, I just want to point out we are... Bebby specifically wanted to talk about the same graphic as we went over yesterday, where you see the symbols on top. But we, or I personally, I am talking about this geometric proof that we're going over right now, and Bebby is quibbling about the symbolism and the other infographic we went over yesterday.
So,
just go on.
No, I was just gonna say, I have a question for you, and I don't want to spoil what's coming because I wasn't in Discord when this happened. But are you guys gonna end up getting with him the consequences of him acknowledging that what Sarugaki had there and what Saragaki's pointed out today, that's sitting up on the screen for YouTube right now, that is uncontroversial? You said that, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then what was the other term that he used for it? Something stronger than that, even, right?
Yeah, unimpeachable.
Unimpeachable.
Later on.
Unimpeachable. So, are you guys going to get with him on later in this recording on what the consequences of that are?
No, his missus was in the background getting angry at him. He had to leave.
Oh yeah. Okay.
We'll save that for tomorrow.
Do you want me to save it for tomorrow?
Well, I mean, you can talk about it tonight, but I mean, I'm saying he's coming tomorrow. So if you would like to bring it up tomorrow, then yeah, brilliant.
Well, we can later, but tomorrow I'm going to be hyper focused on the summary of the first 4 chapters of categories. But and I'm not going to let Bevy get me off of that. I need the folks to understand, because we've been circling around predication and those kinds of things. I think it's worth going over it again. But what I will say, and Saragaki, correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't want to. I'm not a logician. I'll just put that out there, right? But I am a thinking individual. And for those of you who are on YouTube that have this graphic up, understand that Bevy agrees that what Saragaki just pointed out and what he drew and what sits on your screen before you right now is not controversial. It's unimpeachable. It is true. It's absolutely true. So understand, when you look at that diagram, you see it on your screen right in front of you, or if you drew it on a piece of paper, you understand, given their model, it cannot be true. It cannot, under any circumstance, be true, because there are no right angles and there are no straight lines, at least not horizontally. So let that sink in. Even in the, what is it? I'm looking at it on my phone on YouTube at the moment. It's probably 2 inches long, that horizontal line. Understand that even that 2-inch long, supposedly straight line, in reality, as I see it on my screen, cannot be straight. Therefore, what Saragaki pointed out here, that Bevy agreed is true, cannot be true. Understand that. Words have implications. That's what I mean. It's going to drive people crazy if you entertain this shit.
Yeah.
But go on and try. If you drew that diagram that Saragaki drew as well, and you put that on a piece of paper, and you got it as straight as possible, used your graph paper, used the lines, understand that in reality, the lead that's put down from the pencil onto that piece of paper is not straight. Understand that. Cannot be straight. Because there are no straight lines in reality given their model. Doesn't matter how long it is. That's why they have to say it's only at a point, and they need that tangent. There are no straight lines, which means Bevy now has a paradox, because he has said that what Saragaki shows here is unimpeachable, totally correct, but it can't be. But again, I'm not a logician. Is that fair, Bev, Saragaki? Is that fair what I just said?
Yeah, you're saying that in the globe model, there is no such thing as parallel verticals, and horizontal cannot be a straight line.
Correct.
That's what you're saying. So
that is what I'm saying.
Yeah, in the globe model.
Yep.
My
correct.
proof here cannot be true.
That is right. Mm-hmm. Cannot be.
While in reality, it is, as Bevy will tell you all, unimpeachable.
Correct. And everybody that works with those things called straight lines and verticals and horizontals in reality know that what Saragaki just pointed out is 100% true, unimpeachable. So let that sink in. Let the paradox sink in, people.
Acceptable paradoxes.
Right. It has to be. Yep. Have to have them.
Well, Eddie, I had to point that out. Sorry. But yeah, variables. You want to try it again? Listen to him talk about variables.
And then you have...
Is Q parallel to Q and P parallel to P? Is that correct? Mm-hmm. Is that how I'm... Or is there a universal quantifier embedded in there? So you're saying all...
Yeah, it is. I can read it from the start.
Is the bit after the therefore.
Okay. So do you agree with the one in front? It is true that vertical is perpendicular to horizontal.
I'd quibble a bit with the way you're using variables, but let's put that to one side, yeah.
Just to brush it aside, variables.
The way I'm using
Fantastic.
Variables.
Which variable would you...
Q and P. Well, the first thing is it's bound to be confusing to anyone with a Trainian logic, because P and Q always mean positions, not things.
See, here's another thing. P and Q, as far as I know, I mean, the introduction we had within this formulation was modus tollens that states if P, then Q. I mean, isn't that the basis of the mind your P's and Q's statement that we've been talking about all along? Has Betty just shifted that?
Yes. And I tried to explain to him, I don't know if it got across to the people on YouTube, I tried to explain to him that those symbols he is specifically talking about now, that is a statement that I made after the fact. The proof itself is what it is. You can see it on YouTube right now. That's the graphic that's up. But the symbols that Bebby is talking about is a statement that I've made using logical symbols to it's just a statement in relation to this. It is, it's how do you say it? It's standalone. It doesn't add on or take anything away from this proof itself. It's just a standalone statement that I made on top of this.
Ready to carry on? Yeah. Okay.
I mean, that's just a confusion. There's
P
nothing
for
inherently
premise,
wrong with it.
Q for conclusion, right?
Sorry?
If P, then Q. Premise, consequence.
Yeah, but P in the if P then Q, P is a placeholder for a proposition, a sentence.
And
Whereas
that's why I
Q here-
specifically put that, vertical equals Q in the sense of the symbol.
Yeah, but vertical is a predicate. I mean, I'm nitpicking here. I'm just.
Do you like that, Kev?
Love it. Would you use that word at any other time?
Yeah.
But I love it. Yeah, it's great.
Brings out about a good question, right? I ask him in a minute.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Just saying that is bound to be confusing.
Sorry, predicate. Just give us a glimpse of that. What's your idea of predicate?
Well, a predicate is an adjective for a common noun. You went over that. On the last week, I think it was.
Yeah.
I mean,
so you're saying horizontal and vertical are predicates, are you?
Yeah.
Not an orientation to you then. In that case,
it could be an orientation, but
would that make it a predicate?
Yeah.
Interesting, that, huh? He's turning horizontal and vertical into a predicate.
Of what, though? A lot. I can only assume because he didn't say it. Predication of what?
Well, no.
He will. Okay, all right, good.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say a level. You could predicate horizontal of level, and you could predicate vertical from plumb. The reality things, right? That's the way I would say it. But we're talking purely geometrically here with this within the framework of the geometry. So if I would say you could predicate horizontal and vertical of those lines. AB, horizontal. CD vertical and EF vertical. I mean, how could you not do that and put that within the formulation of the logical statement that he's put together?
Right. Yep.
Yeah. Simple as. But I mean, this is Betty, the logician. Here we go again. Carry on.
Let me finish, Bev. You don't always let me finish. If I say X is horizontal. Now I'm predicating being horizontal of X. Similarly for vertical.
So would that be him saying... It's me again, I paused it. Would that be him saying that the X that he's talking about, Betty's cross, if you remember that, he's predicating that X as being horizontal? Not the two lines being horizontal. I'll just back it up again because
That's interesting. I didn't think of that at the moment.
Here we go. Listen.
You went over that. You went over that on the last week, I think it was.
Yeah.
I mean,
So you're saying horizontal and vertical are predicates, are you?
Yeah.
Not an orientation to you then. In that case,
well, it could be an orientation, but
would that make it a predicate?
Yeah. Let me finish, Bev. You don't always let me finish. If I say X is horizontal, now I'm predicating being horizontal of X. Similarly for vertical.
Eddie's boring as fuck.
So just to make it clear, right? The proof in itself, without the symbolism, stands on its own. The symbolism doesn't take anything away from the actual proof.
Well, the question again is what you're proving, but let me...
I am proving that those two lines are in fact parallel to each other.
On the bit, those two lines are parallel. So you have a horizontal. You're predicating horizontal of the line AB. You're saying it is a straight line, and there are two lines that are perpendicular to it. Therefore, those two lines are parallel. That's unimpeachable.
Unimpeachable. I'll go back over that again. Yeah.
Same paradox. Yeah, played over.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a horizontal. You're predicating horizontal of the line AB. You're saying it is a straight line, and there are two lines that are perpendicular to it. Therefore, those two lines are parallel. That's unimpeachable. I really want to get to the bit after the therefore sign at the top. Are we reading that as all horizontals are parallel to one another, or are we reading Q is parallel to Q? Because it looks like the consequence, or the bit after the conclusion, is that Q is parallel to itself and P is parallel to itself, which is...
I'm going to have to go back over that again, because this sounds like he's trying to throw confusion into the statement, because he says it correctly and then throws a load of really weird shade over it all. Listen.
To Q, because it looks like the consequence, or the bit after the conclusion, is that Q is parallel to itself and P is parallel to itself, which is Euclid's definition aside, which is true of anything. I mean, it's necessarily true, so it's not.
No, you would, by definition, you would need two separate straight lines to have parallelism occur. But that's not what I'm saying.
Your statement says, as I read it, I may be reading it wrongly, Q is parallel to Q, and P is parallel to P. Q is parallel to itself, and P is parallel to itself. Now that any two straight lines, whatever the orientation, any such straight line Q is parallel to itself.
He's not a logician, is he?
No.
Pausing this here.
I can't see it. I really can't.
How can you have something being parallel to itself? A ridiculous statement.
He said Euclid's definition aside, and then I explained to him that no, you would definitely need two separate straight lines to have parallelism occur, but he just carries on.
Yeah. This to me sounds like when with DP, when we did T-shirt logic the first time, and we had A parallel to A and B parallel, just in order for us to write it out, in order to try and formulate it, because we had no idea of any logical stuff at all. We were just writing something, I don't know, for the hell of it, right? We were just making stuff up. Not making stuff up, but we didn't have any idea of symbols. We had how do you express lines being parallel to each other, and we did it like that. A is parallel to A,
and to talk about that point a little, like when I came across T-shirt logic the first time, that tripped me up. A if A is parallel to B, then
Yeah.
A is parallel to A and B is parallel to B. I sat down and I looked at that and I was thinking, how can that be? If A is just one straight line, how can you have A be parallel to A? I couldn't, for a while there, I couldn't reconcile it in myself. But when I, drew it out, you can have a line, call it line A. And it's a specific line and a specific orientation of a specific length. You can give a lot of attributes to that line A. You can then copy that line A and put, another one of that very same line somewhere in your coordinate system. You could still call that line A. They are equal. They are the same line, just in two different positions, if you see what I mean in this sense.
They
So
would
that's how
always
I
be
had
parallel,
to,
right?
yeah. So that's why what I had to sort of originally think, like, how can you make this work if this statement is true all the way from start to finish, then how? So that's how I had to picture it to see what you're meaning. Now, whether or not that top statement in t-shirt logic holds true in that same sense, the last one definitely does.
Yeah.
Because that is axiom 1 in Euclid, just, symbolically expressed in reality.
Yeah, geometry is a beautiful explanation of logic and how to use logic with geometry to give you a definitive proof.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's the perfect framework for you to build proofs around. And you could literally do this with anything within geometry, and there would be multiple ways for you to be able to prove things within geometry.
So,
yeah, definitely.
if I can, I'm struggling with why he's arguing Q parallel to Q, P parallel to P. Is he thinking that? Does he not understand that you've identified horizontal as P and vertical as Q? Or is he thinking you're talking about only one? But then how can you have parallel?
I think we try and go there. Yeah, like literally.
Holy
we're right
crap,
into
man.
it, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, I'll carry on. Right, here we go.
Any such straight line P is parallel to itself. So that is necessarily and self-evidently true what you've written. You don't need the proof to prove that.
Brilliant. Self-evident. That's good. That'll do.
It's totally
nice.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, self-evident that verticals are parallel and horizontals are parallel.
No. It is self-evident.
No, can you not read? He said P is vertical, is it? And Q is...
You putting a track away, yeah?
Yeah, vertical is Q, horizontal is P. So it says, therefore, vertical is parallel to vertical, and horizontal is parallel to horizontal. Which obviously follows the definitions we've used and the proof I've gone through.
So, where are you logging off then?
It just says that a straight line is parallel to itself. It's self-evidently true.
Parallel to itself? Are you all right?
Q is parallel to Q. It says that. That means Q is any vertical line is
yeah,
parallel
vertical.
to itself.
Yeah, vertical is parallel to vertical.
Mm-hmm. That's what it actually says.
Yeah.
That's why I put vertical equals Q in the definition. Just so.
So you're using vertical. That doesn't say that but there are two verticals.
The geometric vertical, obviously, Beddy. Can you not tell that? It's within a logical framework. What do you think he's talking about when he's talking about parallel and perpendicular?
But as a constant, a vertical referring to some sort of platonic object.
Vertical
referring to a line that is perpendicular to a horizontal plane.
Yeah, but what you want to say is that any vertical A is parallel to any other vertical B. You've got two verticals. What you've written is a vertical is parallel to itself, which is self-evidently true, but not what you want.
That's not what I'm actually saying. That's what.
Right, what do you reckon to that? Vertical is parallel to itself. but not necessarily what you want.
Is he, I don't know, purposely being obtuse here? I mean,
I think so. You can't be a logician and say that horizontal, vertical being parallel to itself. I mean,
and let's go back to the one bit I just went over with t-shirt logic and that line A. Just change out that that letter A with the word vertical, and you're having the same issue, right? Vertical, parallel to vertical. Does not have to be the same vertical, and in fact it can't be the same vertical because you need two separate straight lines in order for them to be parallel to each other.
Yep. I'm going to look up the definition, so I'll keep playing this again. Listen to it again.
What you've written is a vertical is parallel to itself, which is self-evidently true, but not what you want.
That's not what I'm actually saying. That's what I'm trying to explain.
Well, it is actually what you're saying. What you're meaning is something else, I guess, but I see.
But you don't understand this, Betty, do you not? You still not quite understood this?
I understand you're making a terrible mistake.
Do you understand? There we go, he's just about to go into his laughing fit. It states here that parallel straight lines are such as are in the same plane which being produced for both ways do not meet. And there is a picture with two lines, right? And that's why it says parallel straight lines. Because you need more than one, obviously. Within the definition of parallel. Parallel straight lines, not parallel straight line. Ridiculous. Supposed logician. We gotta listen to this. I think this is might have to listen to it again from see what he's talking about to see what brings this on.
I understand you're making a terrible mistake.
Do you understand? Go back a bit. You don't understand this, Betty, do you not? You still not quite understood this.
I understand you're making a terrible mistake.
Do you understand? Can we just get an understanding? Do you know what a horizontal plane is?
Yeah, I know that.
Right, now, do you know that all perpendiculars to that horizontal plane will be parallel?
All perpendiculars to the same plane, to a horizontal
plane. To that horizontal plane, yes.
That horizontal plane will be parallel, but that's not.
Yeah. Now, we'll just change that again as well. Do you understand what a vertical plane is? And all perpendiculars to a vertical plane will be parallel. Do you understand that? Betty?
This is not relevant to my
geometrically. Do you understand? I'm just trying to run us through the basic principles of what a horizontal plane. Are you all right?
I have.
Is there something funny? I don't know what occurred here. Swap from horizontal plane to a vertical plane.
And the same question followed.
Yeah. Parallel. Do you understand that? Big pause.
Yep.
Betty?
He knew where it was going.
This is interesting to me. I don't know whether he's got somebody there that's listening to him that maybe told him a joke or did something funny.
This is not relevant to my
geometrically. Does that say this is not irrelevant or?
This is not relevant to my.
It's not irrelevant or irrelevant.
This is not relevant to my.
Geometric. What do you reckon? What do you guys hear there?
I heard I think he's stuttering a little bit, trying to figure out how the fuck he's gonna get out of this.
Yeah.
This is not relevant to my...
Geometrically, do you understand? I'm just trying to run us through the basic principles of what
Sorry.
a horizontal plane. Are you all right?
I have.
Is
to
there
go
something
now.
funny? You don't understand what a horizontal plane is, or do you think it's funny?
I said
You're laughing, is that?
So, is this a way to get out of the horizontals being perpendicular and, like it's an unanswerable question, a paralogism that we just hit there, and this is his cog-dis reaction.
Yep. It has to be 100%. He knew where this was going, and he has said himself in this audio that what Saragaki showed was unimpeachable. And then I'm thinking he was being purposely obtuse with the whole Q is parallel to Q and P is parallel to P.
Yeah.
So somebody as intelligent as he seemingly claims to be, or seemingly is, I mean, he speaks very well. You have to give him that. You cannot tell me he does not understand what Saragaki was saying, especially when it was written in black and white. Horizontal equals P, vertical equals Q. So, yeah, he was faced with his own dialetheism, paralogism, and had to get the hell out.
Yeah, he's not gone yet. He stays.
Oh,
this is
boy.
weird, yeah. Gets stranger. You don't understand what a horizontal plane is, or do you think it's funny?
I said
You're laughing. Is that your defense against this?
Yeah.
Sorry?
You're laughing this off. Are you okay?
I'm laughing it off. I mean, it's just laughable.
What, that you don't know what a horizontal and a vertical plane is?
Well, yes, you say
That's
that.
fucking hilarious, Betty.
You
You say you're a logician, right? It's funny, yeah.
No, so you've proved that any vertical line is parallel to itself.
No, I've proven that any vertical line is parallel to any other vertical line. CD,
but that's not
EF. You see that?
That's not what your symbolism says.
Yeah, it says, therefore, CD is parallel to EF. It literally says that, yeah.
No, it says Q, which is the vertical line, is parallel to itself.
Right, this is their attack, right? Because he did say there, he let it slip, your symbolism.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not going with the actual argument and the words and the geometric part of it at all. He's just convinced himself through some sort of a paralogism that he can get out of this by saying the symbolisms and it's parallel to itself. It's pretty obvious he's stuck to that now.
Yeah, so I wonder if instead of the symbols, Saragaki said, what those meant, right? P is horizontal equals P, vertical equals Q. If those words were used instead of the symbols, would he still be laughing it up?
And not
horizontal is parallel to horizontal. Vertical is parallel to vertical. You tell me he would not understand that in light of the graphics in the infographic that Saragaki put together. And he's a logician, please.
And on top of that, I also went over it. I told them, exactly that. Therefore, vertical is parallel to vertical and horizontal is parallel to horizontal. I went over that specifically in English for him as well.
Crazy.
Yeah. So we'll carry on with this now, right? But I mean, I find it strange. They're laughing in order for him to be able to get around it, answering the question. The perpendicularity of horizontal planes and relating it to a vertical plane, just swapping it. Doing the same thing. Geometry would state that perpendicularity works like that. You can have one or the other. It works exactly the same with each. It doesn't say it's parallel to itself.
No, it really doesn't. But this is also yesterday why I told you, don't get hung up in the symbols on the top. The proof is the thing in the center of
No,
the
well, I need
square
to
in
know
the
what
middle of
I
the
need to know
picture.
what you're proving. If you prove,
Yeah, I'm proving that
every
CD is
vertical,
parallel to EF.
if you
That's what I'm
prove that
proving.
every vertical line is parallel to itself and every horizontal line is parallel to itself, then well, yeah, of course that's true. But you want to prove that every vertical line is parallel to any other vertical line. Quantifiers.
Mm-hmm.
I'll put that back again. This man is not a logician.
Then, well, yeah, of course that's true.
I'm proving that CD is parallel to EF. That's what I'm
prove that
proving.
every vertical line is parallel to itself and every horizontal line is parallel to itself, then well, yeah, of course that's true. But you want to.
How can every vertical line be parallel to itself? Yes, of course, that's true. I'll put it through it again. Like this is a supposed logician.
That's what I'm
prove that
proving.
every vertical line is parallel to itself and every horizontal line is parallel to itself, then well, yeah, of course that's true. But you want to prove that every vertical line.
He says, of course, that's true. How can it have a line parallel to itself?
When the definition itself tells you they have to be two, at least two.
Yeah, I'll get the rest of the definition, right? Because the rest of the definition will give it away as well. It states, parallel straight lines are such as are in the same plane and which being produced ever so far both ways do not meet. Well, one line. Does it meet itself? Yes, constantly it does. So that breaks the definition. How can a logician... And he's a word guy, right? He's a very wordy guy. How can he not understand what parallel definition is? How can he say it's obviously true? I'll listen to it again just to make sure. He says this.
Yes, that's what I'm
proving. If you prove that every vertical line is parallel to itself and every horizontal line is parallel to itself, then well, yeah, of course that's true. But you want to prove that every vertical line is parallel to any other vertical line. Quantifiers.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, this guy's a logician?
Well, I
no
don't think
way.
So.
No.
I don't think so either. Without an understanding of what parallel means, I mean, you shouldn't be able to talk geometrically about any sort of logic framed around that if you think lines can be parallel to itself.
That's what I've done. Yeah, that's what I've done in the square in the center there. Mm-hmm.
No, you haven't proved that either. Guys, I've got to go.
You just said that it's irrefutable or whatever word you used, but now it's not proven. Okay, well
unimpeachable.
then.
Yeah.
Unimpeachable, yeah.
Unimpeachable.
That's what you said, yes, but now you're denying it for some reason.
Any horizontal line, in fact, any line whatsoever.
Do you agree that line AB is horizontal in this diagram?
Yeah, that it happens to be. It is a horizontal line.
So do you then agree that both CD and EF is perpendicular to that line?
1 second.
Can you start promptly at 8?
Yeah, I'm coming, darling.
1 minute.
As you said, I'm under orders, but we should continue this one because, first of all, there's the issue of what that top line means. I now understand.
Just CD and EF being perpendicular to AB. That's all I'm asking you. Do you see that? Yes or no?
Yeah, let's go to the top line. What you're trying to prove, what you're trying to say, rather, is that by that parallel cube.
No, now you're just trying to put words in my mouth. Can we just agree, right, that CD and EF are both perpendicular to AB?
Correct, and the
correct. So there you go. Vertical is perpendicular to the plane of the horizon. That makes both CD and EF vertical.
I really have to go. Well, the next step for this is I will put that conclusion into proper logical form, predicate calculus. Here we are. You can see it here.
You mean therefore CD is parallel to EF, which is the actual conclusion of my proof, or do you mean the symbols on top, which I've just made a statement?
Can we take this forward at some other time?
I actually remember to
If you're willing to understand that the proof is actually in the center of the square and not the
No,
symbolism on
the
top.
proof is wholly invalid, but you need to
What
understand
what did you call it again? Unimpeachable, but wholly invalid.
No.
Wholly invalid now.
It
You
has
said
to be, though.
proof is invalid.
Has to be.
Yeah.
Given his model, it has to be.
It's because he put vertical and horizontal there, right? On those lines. That's the only reason he says the proof is invalid, is because of those two lines. Because the geometric proof is unimpeachable, he said.
I would want to know from him if he believes that what he called unimpeachable is only in concept and not ever in reality. Because given his model, that would have to be his claim.
Yeah.
Only in the mind, given his model, only in the mind can what Saragaki pointed out be unimpeachable. Only in the mind. Conceptually speaking, yes.
I've had quite recently been told that that vertical and horizontal is a geometric horizontal and vertical. Straight lines. Now, they tell me that isn't how we have it in reality. It's different. It's Discord rules. Right? This other group of people have decided that they are the keepers of the true vertical and the true horizontal. And they have to be, because they're the keepers of a model, and the model can't go anywhere near these logical and geometric proofs.
Yeah. No, they cannot be. They cannot be thinking that then there is a straight line anywhere in reality. That has to sink in with these people. Not even, again, I'll say it again, not even on a piece of graph paper that you so carefully draw a line and a horizontal line and then two verticals to make them perpendicular, as Saragaki said. The lead from the pencil on the paper that you're using in their model would not be straight, no matter how straight it is. There is no straight lines. Logically, again, you have to go to, well, what are the consequences of that? Then what is Euclid's elements? What is Euclid? All conceptual? All of it in the mind? None of it pertaining to reality in any way, shape, matter, or form? None of it. And then if that's the case, what about their so beloved spherical geometry? So now book 11 is okay, but not books 1 through 10 in reality. Yeah?
Book 11's the problem.
Yeah, you're damn right it's the problem. Yeah. But I don't know of anyone. It's like you said, Bev, earlier. Go to any university, go to any third grade math teacher and say geometry is not real. It is not in reality. You cannot ask your students to draw a straight line on graph paper. You can't do it. It doesn't exist. It's just made up. It's fake. It's fiction. I dare someone to go do that and see what that person tells you. See what that math teacher tells you before they kick you out of their class for being an idiot.
Yeah, I once described it as on the floor, right? You make a square as big as possible. Then, so you make it on a plane, just a square on the floor, and then you stand that up, make it vertical, right? Then make the base of that horizontal. Put it on a level. Extend that straight line at the bottom of the square. Make it horizontal. then the two other sides of it that are perpendicular because it's a square, can they both be vertical? If the base of the square is horizontal? I'd state yes. Perpendicular to a horizontal, yeah.
They have to be.
Well, just look at furniture.
Hmm.
You know, modern or old. You know, perfect. Has to be perfect.
Yeah, everybody hates a
Right
wobbly
angle.
chair or table.
That's for sure. But there can be no perfection in that way, spot on, with these people. I don't think they're getting that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even them themselves, they can't be getting it because it would blow their freaking mind. You understand you cannot have a straight line in reality. You cannot create a straight line in reality. You cannot have anything that is straight in reality.
In their model, I just need to correct you.
Yes, thank you. Please keep saying that, because I forget to add in their model. Of course, we know in reality, of course there are. Of course there is. All the examples that we've just said, spot on, bringing up furniture. I'm looking at a piece of furniture as we speak. In their world, the two verticals that I'm looking for at each end of the piece of furniture that I'm looking at are not vertical. And the horizontal piece across the bottom that ties the two together is not horizontal. It's not straight. It's curved.
In their model, yes.
In their model. Yeah, it has to be. Because no straight lines exist.
Well, I don't know. Straight lines do exist, I think. But the geometric framework of their model only exists on the surface of a sphere that's two-dimensional. So
Yeah, okay. So there we go.
Yeah.
That's how they,
there's a
how they get around it.
parallelism within geometries, one imagined and one that actually practically used.
And that's why all surveying is done locally.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Right.
A 2D sphere.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Those
Nice.
famous 2D spheres.
But see, this is only stuff that we talk about. We talk about it and laugh. And people probably think that it's us making this stuff up. But it's not. This is where the globe has to go to have their model exist within a geometric framework. And it always comes down to 2D, which is conceptual. There's only one geometry that makes it into 3 dimensions, reality. And that's Euclidean geometry, book 11. There's only a little bit of this left.
How is that
You're
not
misreading.
contradictory?
It is unimpeachable that AB,
Yes,
any perpendiculars to AB will be parallel to each other. That is totally unimpeachable.
Vertical, perpendicular to the plane of the horizon.
But what you're trying to prove, the conclusion you're trying to get, which you tried to unsuccessfully to symbolize that bit at the top, the symbol is at the top.
Yeah, that's standalone. That doesn't affect what I've proven down below. That's a statement I've
What
made
you've
after.
proven down below is not a proof that all verticals are parallel to one another.
Of course it is, yeah.
All horizontals are parallel. You haven't proved.
Of course it is.
That's what I
You're a
need to explain
logician,
to
you say.
That is what. Yes, I am.
It's unimpeachable, but it's also holy. Of course I'm laughing, because you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you
Both
best
of those
get going,
lines,
Betty. You're going to be
TD,
late.
Yeah.
You don't want to get
Yeah,
in
your
trouble
wife's
with your
gonna be
missus.
mad.
Yeah, my missus is going to get cross.
Mhm.
You haven't formulated this properly, and I need to explain.
Therefore, CD is parallel to EF. Yeah, I
Yes,
formulated
correct.
it perfectly.
Got it.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's that. That's Betty come around.
Yeah. Teach us about perpendiculars.
Well, he wanted to have a
I mean,
word
like what?
with Saragaki about this.
Parallel lines.
Yeah, it's just an extension of horizontals being parallel, which is when Betty came into us. I mean, how can you go from learning about parallel lines, right? The T-shirt logic states all horizontals are parallel to each other, right? Basically, simply. Nobody's ever refuted that yet.
But perhaps that's why we're getting confused with the A being parallel to A.
Yeah. Yeah, that was one of the ones that they got off at the beginning, right, when we first saying that. But I mean, it was T-shirt logic was then expanded upon, right? Made to state that all horizontals are parallel to each other, right? You can't get any clearer than that within a statement. Now, this is just all perpendiculars to a line, plane, horizontal will be parallel geometrically with a proof.
Yeah, but to say a line is parallel to itself, I mean, that's without insulting anybody. That's a grade level school, like schooling. Grade 3, grade 4 student could understand that, no?
I would have thought so, yeah. I mean, within the definition of parallel, it states more than one. I don't know how a wordsmith logician could have missed that.
Well, I think that's why he was laughing, wasn't he?
Well, he thought he was getting one over on us.
Well, I don't know. I assumed he was laughing because he needed something to he needed a way to bow out, and he used disingenuously. I think he used the fact that Saragaki had P parallel to P and Q parallel to Q as a way to say, oh, you guys are so stupid. Look at you. You just said that something is parallel to itself. Ha ha ha. Isn't that funny? Of course, that's ridiculous. And of course, here we are saying, yeah, of course, that's ridiculous. Did you actually think that's what we're saying? That's what's ridiculous.
Well, I would disagree with you a little, because he actually says that it's self-evident that any straight line is parallel to itself. That's what he said, as far as I can tell.
Oh yeah, for sure. In words, he started backtracking and trying to get the hell out when he was faced with your logic formulation and the symbols, because he knew what that meant, because it went right back to T-shirt logic.
And that's why I tried to, at the end there, really bring him back to the fact that what I'm actually proving is that CD is parallel to EF in the diagram.
Yep.
The statement I made afterwards is, a logical statement based on the proof that I've done.
Right.
And so the logical statement above the symbolism is not actually part of the proof whatsoever. It's just a statement I made afterward. The proof itself is those two parallel lines, and he's just skipping past that.
Yeah, but because once he was he was faced with his cogdiss, and so he had to grasp onto something, and the only something that he could grasp onto to then get out of this situation was the symbology that you've used in the graphic. It's got to be that. He can't be that dumb, or maybe he is. I don't know, but that is so odd to me.
To me, that laugh he went into was the moment he realized the implications, as we mentioned earlier. He realized the implications, and the cogdiss just hit him in the head at that moment.
Yep. He said, oh my gosh, I know where this is going. And how do I get out of this now? I just said that those two straight lines are parallel to one another. There can be no parallels in their world.
I say this has got to be a troll. There's no way a logician could believe that a line is parallel to itself. That's amongst one of the crazy things he said. Don't forget the cross that he drew, the X, whatever you want to call it.
Betty's cross. Trying to prove that horizontals aren't parallel.
Yeah, but he doesn't believe that he doesn't believe though, SE, that something could be parallel to itself. He knows that. He was trying to claim that that's what Saragaki was claiming. That's what he was trying to say. He doesn't believe that. He knows that's ridiculous.
Right,
I think.
There's a guy in the chat, maybe one of Betty's team. Says he's called FE Reality Denial Club. Weird name. Probably not a flat earther. Everybody, if you notice that, anybody who has FE is not normally a flat earther. Really weird, that, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Right, so he says, but it's not self-evident that all horizontals are parallel to each other. Not self-evident. And your proof does nothing to differentiate between flat and curved, other than the fact that he's just talking about perpendicular and parallel.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how does that not differentiate between straight and curved? Because we're not actually talking about a plane here within the proof that Saragaki's brought forward.
No, just a horizontal line with two perpendiculars to that same line.
Yeah, notice that he doesn't use straight. I think that's an important thing there. Why use flat instead of straight when we're talking about straight? Nowhere in any of what Saragaki has discussed, either live today or in the recording, said anything about flat.
No, because it's irrelevant to what we're actually talking about. Like Bev said, we're just talking about the geometric principles of perpendicular. If you really want to get to the base of this thing, it's the perpendicular and the parallel. Those are the two things that's, the crux of this conversation.
Yeah, it's geometric, right? In nowhere in geometry is flat ever mentioned. There's no need to. They have a word called plane. Two-dimensional construct. And you can just base all of your geometric knowledge on a plane, either vertical or horizontal. Or 3 coplanar points establishing a plane. A circle is a 2-dimensional plane figure. Square, triangle. I mean, nowhere in any of that does anybody need to mention flat. It's a super trigger word that I don't think I've ever really had in an argument, apart from stating the fact that all maps, 2-scale maps, are flat. Simple. Squares. It's so easy for anyone to get this. It's strange that I find that we are talking about these basic concepts, and when it comes down to it being a straight line. Because in order for you to have perpendicular, you need a straight line. You need 2 of them. One to form it in a maximum opposition to the other one, forming 4 right angles. We've got another one. Have you read this? I'll read it out for you. This is again FE Reality Denial Club. I don't know whether he's establishing that FE is a reality and he's part of the denial club. I don't know.
I'm taking it as he's part of a denial club.
Yeah. And the Flat Earth Society at work within the name. Right, so he says, because there is more than one horizontal, they are not parallel to each other. Because there's more than one horizontal.
I'd say that's ridiculous.
Just because there's more than one, they're
yes,
not parallel.
Exactly.
That's ridiculous.
Neither are the verticals.
Yeah, and neither are the verticals. Showing a Euclidean proof does nothing to differentiate between flat and curved.
Again with the flat.
Yeah, why? I think a Euclidean would definitely have a difference between flat and curved, right? They're two different things. So there is a difference between them. Surely you differentiate between flat and curved by using two different words, one of them being flat and the other one being curved. Why are you tagging on such ridiculous shit as that, dude? That's terrible.
Each of them are different orientation altogether.
And he says, Bev, there is not one single truly two-scale flat maps. That's right, I'll say it again.
A two-scale?
Bev, there is not one single truly two-scale flat maps. Not a single one.
I'm struggling with two-scale.
Yeah. Truly two-scale. Well, you know, like when you measure it.
Like a flat map that if you had a map that was a mile square.
Yeah.
And so would that be like, so would that to scale, would that be like a mile square flat map? Like you'd have to fold it up. You have to fold it up to get it into your glove compartment in your car. Like
he basically said that there is no globe to wrap around.
Scale 1-to-1.
Yes.
Right, because the map is flat, right? And then they wrap it around the ball. So there's no to scale map to wrap around a ball. So you got no ball. Good, thanks, man. That's great.
No, he's just saying because globe, none of the two-scale maps can be two-scale. I think he's saying that he thinks all two-scale maps are lies. He's calling into question because he's it's a glober, right? It's an affront to them to have square grid references on maps and then them to call them two scale. It's a developable surface.
And then you gotta love the famous I hand wave your reality and substitute one of my own. You gotta love that. I deny your reality and substitute my fake reality of my own.
He's got another good one here. Good. So he says, so why does all geometry show that the Earth is curved and spherical? It's like no geometry shows that the Earth is curved and spherical. It's ridiculous. Geometry's geometry. How can it show that the Earth is curved and spherical?
Sure he's not just mixing it up with geography? Geography, not geometry. We're talking about geometry, not geography.
And again, every single flat map is distorted. No, mine aren't. Definitely not distorted. If they're two scale, how can they be distorted? That would be a lie to call a two scale map two scale if it was distorted. How can you have a distorted scale on a map?
orienteering map back, wouldn't you?
I wonder if anybody's informed them. You know, you make 2-scale maps. Yeah, you know you can't. You're not allowed to. Why? Because we live on a globe, and you can't go round willy-nilly putting squares on it. You should know. They hand-waved one of the axioms of Euclidean geometry.
Have you not heard?
Yeah.
I wonder if that includes like site surveys and stuff.
Yeah, actual measurements of the land.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I have it in my drawer for my house and the land that we have. You know, the site survey.
Yeah.
So that's distorted and not correct.
It has to be.
Right? Interesting.
Yeah, some dude came into the YouTube chat and told you that.
I'm going to take that to the... I wonder if I could protest my taxes on that. Wait a minute.
Yeah, you said here that my plot of land that I have.
It's good stuff, that. Good.
Yeah, I like it when the Globe fanatics come in and point all of these things out to us. Here we go. Double down, treble down. The larger the area a flat map covers, the larger the distortions. It's just a fact of reality that all flat maps are distorted. I know that you hate reality-based things. All 2-scale maps
I mean,
are
how far do you
distorted.
want to go?
Yeah, that's just going to go there. Spot on, you knew. Yes, so how big or small would it have to be exactly for it to be accurate or without distortion?
I know what you got to do. It's all about scale anyway. You just do it on a bit of paper and you just say whatever, 25,001.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just put like you go here's a 1-to-1. Here's 2-to-1. Here's 10-to-1. Here's 1,250-to-1. Here's 50,000-to-1. Here's 100,000-to-1. Like at which point does it start to curve? It can't do. They're all on flat maps. Where's the distortion? At what point do you start adding distortion into a scale? And how bad is your misunderstanding of what scale is? Mr. FE reality guy in the chat.
This is really good.
This is the 2D thing, isn't it?
Take a look at that one. This is getting better and better.
It would have to be a point to be accurate and flat. So, no size flat map is accurate. But there's no curved maps. I think this guy has just come into our chat and said, no maps are accurate.
They can't be.
He's a map denier, a map accuracy denier. Like, we don't know where anything is. That can't be right. Just check it on the map. Oh, that can't be right. Don't worry about that. It can't be right. Why? We live on a globe. It's like, what? It's one of the weirdest defenses ever.
Next surveyor I see out doing his job, I'm going to totally stop and go, dude, what are you doing? Is that going to be used to make a map of some sort? Are you about to create some sort of map, like a plot for someone's land or something? Because I was told that they're totally inaccurate. Doesn't matter how small it is. In fact, it would have to be a point for it to be accurate. I just want to see what the look on his face would be.
You know, the center of those 2 points are lower than the middle. That'd be a good one to say.
Yeah, you can have a straight line changing in elevation at both ends.
And so on a small map, distortions are negligible, but still there. How small? How small would you say?
What's the scale?
Like a 1-to-1 scale, that's where it's negligible. But if you make it like a 1 to 50,000 scale, then
no bueno then.
It's really weird because triangles. I mean, this is the 2D argument. Triangulation on a flat map.
They probably don't know about triangulation.
They might not understand about triangles having 180 degrees and all that. It's a problem. It's one of the paralogisms. It's a geometric proof.
They've got 180 until you're aware of the model. Until then, they're quite adequate as 180.
Yeah, your average triangles. They're good enough to be 180 geometrically, right? It's one of those ones that work. There may be a geometric proof of triangles having 180 degrees, but does that relate to reality? Could you have a triangle with one of the sides vertical and the other side horizontal? Is it possible that could be done in reality?
Using techniques to establish horizontals. In reality.
I think I've got...
With horizontal chains. In reality.
Try and find the meme that we did, because this one explains that sort of a thing. Wow, I don't know how far back we had to go for that one. Oh wow. There you go. Wow, quite a way back. Check that out. We call it rise over run. It's a surveying technique. They measure a horizontal distance and then they measure a vertical change, and one over the other. You may have noticed them at the side of mountains and stuff. Sometimes they have it as a 1 in 5, 1 in 10, 1 in 15. That means for every 15 inches you raise 1. For every 15 feet you raise 1 foot. It's a scale. It's a ratio like that. Or sometimes they put it as a percentage. But that's what they mean. It's a rise over run. That's a surveying technique. That's a slope. How much you go up over a certain distance across. You notice they don't use level within that. It's definitely a horizontal and vertical changes. Check it out. But that sort of relationship with the right angle perpendicular is exactly what Saragaki's talking about in the proof. It's the geometric proof relates to reality. At least I think that's what we say here. these geometric proofs directly relate to reality. And people find it hard to talk to us about proofs, and specifically geometry, because there's a lot of them that say not that geometry. And well, yes, that geometry. I've lost where we were going now. Oh, it looks like we've seen him off. He's gone. He must have embarrassed himself with the maps. He did not trust in maps. It's an interesting one, that, though, right? We just think about that. Who are the people that are denying that scale maps are accurate? And how do you not understand what scale is for so long? Have you ever heard the ballers say that you don't understand scale in all of the list of things that they talk about that you don't understand? Because I think that you don't understand is what they say to cover themselves. I don't think they can understand scale. I think you might find there's a paralogism in it. Do any of the globe model fanatics, any of them willing to come and explain what scale is to them? And how scale maps can't be accurate? We've got a guy in the chat. I think he works for the Ordnance Survey, or the guy that writes stuff. Yeah. J-Ro showing the models to scale accuracy. They just literally do not put curvature into any of this. There's a load of people that think a zero elevation change means a ball. Which is ridiculous, even within the concepts of it. I'm pretty sure that this Archer might work for Ordnance Survey. He loves them. He likes telling us, because that other guy on YouTube's the one that said that no maps are accurate. Archer, I think, is coming into his defense in the Discord chat to let everybody know that even the map making companies apparently now are saying that they're no good at making maps. I think that's what he's saying. The definition of, like Yozzie's telling us we don't use, we're using the wrong definition of horizontal. He thinks surveyors have a different definition of horizontal. So yeah, Yossi, if you want to come in and explain what you think your horizontal is, and if it's perpendicular to vertical, then it's the same thing, because verticals are perpendicular to the plane of the horizon. I find it really strange how this has got to be a paralogism wrapped up in this, vertical and horizontal.
It is. It's massive. It's massive. The paralogism and the model affliction is just massive.
Yeah.
Because again, outside of this arena, no one has a problem with horizontal being horizontal and vertical being vertical, and understanding perpendicular.
Come and ask your question, Yossi. If you think I haven't answered it, you think there's a different definition for horizontal that surveyors use? I find that amazing. You've got what you've got there, Yossi Mods, is you found yourself a paralogism, because all perpendiculars, as you state, will be parallel. All perpendiculars to a line or plane will be parallel. Can't get around that. See, Rob Keane, he would say that a horizontal line is a straight line. So therefore, all perpendiculars to that horizontal line will be parallel. Just like Saragakis pointed out in his proof. Now, Yossi seems to think surveyors think something different about what a horizontal is. I wonder whether you bother telling the surveyors when they make their measurements that they won't be accurate. Or that they ask what they define horizontal as. Do you think a surveyor would ever think of a definition of what horizontal was? Or what a definition of level was? Do you think he'd care? Or would he just do his job? You're not. I know, it's pretty obvious you're not a surveyor. But I had a look at some surveying books. I don't think Yossi, I don't think you understand what horizontal is. It's independent of vertical. Yossi, I'll have to state again. The definition for horizontal within mathematics is that it is parallel to the plane of the horizon. That's not my definition. That's the definition of within mathematics of a horizontal. I don't get why it's such a problem. Oh, he's in here. There we go. Betty is wrong then. Magnetic field lines are curved. See, we've got a problem in the... Was that pertaining to the compass thing from the other day? In the Discord chat. Wow, paralogisms everywhere with horizontal. Yeah, Betty's replying back to Archer. Are perfectly curved. Is everybody reading this? The way you can get around having a conversation, right? If Archer's said Betty is wrong, then magnetic field lines are curved, and so Betty says, to be perfectly clear, my supposition was that we construct a perfectly straight line from the line segment defined by the compass needle. That perfectly straight line will be perfectly straight. And of course, it won't follow the lines of the magnetic field, which, as you correctly say, are perfectly curved. So, Betty states that the magnetic lines are curved. Take note, people.
What's perfectly curved? What's that?
Well, yeah, perfect curve. Do you not know what a perfect curve is?
I don't. That's
No.
first for me. What's
Neither
a
do
perfect curve?
I haven't got a clue.
Is that like a right angle, sort of? Perfectly curved.
Well, you can't hardly get people to define a curve.
Like
So now they're
Fibonacci.
going to say perfect curve.
Would a Fibonacci curve, would that be a perfect curve? In
I don't
the
know.
correct proportion? I haven't got a clue. It doesn't mean anything. It's just ridiculous. But he says, so if you've got a compass and it is following north, and Betty admits it's curved. So that just states that like people know, the compass moves all over the place. It's never pointing at the same place. Where north is moves. They know that. They state it. It moves with time. And they curve just like Betty says as well. So you could follow one of these southbound curves and end up going north because they curve around the magnetic field lines. That's why it's a disingenuous question for him to start off with. Can't be straight if they're curved. And you can't pretend that they're straight if they're not really straight in the first place. Surveyors use a different definition of horizontal, therefore globe. I think Yossi's trying to state. Is that what you have to say, Yossi? Because surveyors use a different definition of horizontal. Like, what does that mean? How ridiculous an argument is that? It's an argument from semantics, Yossi. I think we'd have to go to the identity, the law of identity, right? And try and establish whether we actually have the same understanding of what horizontal is as everybody else. which is why we initially started with the water level test. Best place to prove a horizontal straight line. Yozzie's just made up a straw man. Did you burn it, Yozzie? I hope you did. Go and tell your mates you did really well with it. There's so many geometric proofs to prove all of these things that a certain group of people have to deny and come up with arguments, obfuscation arguments, non-arguments, non-argument. Gets embarrassing. Oh, we are really going on about straight lines, and Betty doesn't think we know about what straight lines are. I mean, how ridiculous. I think we've got somebody who's working for the Ordnance Survey. Obfuscation department, saying that surveyors have a different definition of horizontal. I wonder whether surveyors have a different definition of level as well. And I wonder whether both of them, when they say level is horizontal in dictionaries, I wonder whether surveyors have a different definition of both level and horizontal than the dictionaries have. And then I'd have to ask why. Why would all the dictionaries be blatantly lying to us about what actual surveyors do and what the tool levels actually do? Or could it just be the group of people that seem obsessed with reality and stuff, that they're the ones that get triggered by this sort of stuff? Let's see. Yozzie says we pick a definition that has nothing to do with math and surveying. So let's have a look. I see. Anybody got any surveying? There you go. There's some definitions there. That's level. Let me see if I can find a horizontal mathematics. There you go. This is a horizontal definition that actually states bracketed mathematics there. Number 3, mathematics, measured or contained in a plane parallel to that of the horizon. Mathematics. In the Collins English Dictionary, that one. I'm going to take it to a mathematical. It is a horizontal plane. Now this is definitely within mathematics. I think Yozzie's saying that this isn't what surveyors use. They use a different horizontal. Is that right, Yossi? Are you claiming that surveyors have told you that they don't use this horizontal? I'll have a look. Here's a good one. I don't know whether this is good enough. This one says horizontal, which this is tough. Don't ask for a generic, do I ask for a math book or surveying book. This one here says horizontal within science and technology. That sounds good. It says being in a plane perpendicular to the gravitational field. That is perpendicular to a plumb line at a given point on the Earth's surface. Perpendicular. Horizontal. And then there's another one underneath. It says horizontal at right angles to the direction of gravity on the level parallel to the horizon, neither vertical nor inclined. Go on, Yossi. Oh, you mean you can't find any of these definitions on the internet at all? The ones you're talking about, Yossi. The secret keepers of the horizontal, the true horizontal. Crazy. Nice try though, Yossi. The best that they can offer. A guy that says, no, not that definition.
Is it like the keepers of the Ark of the Covenant?
Yep.
In Ethiopia, I think it is.
He's got shouting now in his going caps lock.
Yeah, this is confusing to me because we have Yossi that's saying, I'm talking about math, well, screaming. I'm talking about math or surveying book, not something you find in Google yet. Wasn't it the flat Earth reality denial guy that said simply look it up on Google?
Yeah,
I believe that was his claim. You could just look up this stuff on Google. Now we can. I'm confused.
I think they have it under lock and key. The definition.
Might be like a Masonic secret or something messy.
Yeah, locked up somewhere. Yeah, under guard.
Mm-hmm.
It's comical that we're even having this discussion.
I've got one here.
You're having a discussion with people that do absolutely nothing practically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, come on.
I've got one here
like
again.
Having a chat. Sorry, it's like having a chat with someone about fixing your car that's never turned a wrench.
And you tell them to change your transmission.
Hey, how would I change this transmission? Well, I've never turned a wrench, but yeah, we can do that. I'll tell you how to do it.
I've got one here. I don't know whether this would be good enough for him. It says a horizontal plane. A plane perpendicular to the direction of gravity. Vertical, obviously, plumb bob. And plane tangent to the geoid or parallel to such a plane. I'll read that again. And plane tangent to the geoid or parallel to such a plane. 2. Brackets. Surveying. A plane perpendicular to the plumb line within which or on which angles and distances are observed. For any planimetric survey, it is assumed that all plumb lines therein are parallel, and all horizontal planes therein are parallel. That sort of a definition, Yossi, is that okay for you? You like that one?
I think that would be okay, right? It has gravity in it.
So yeah, well, it does say gravity, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
it's gotta
And
be
it does
all right.
say it assumed all plumb lines therein are parallel. I mean, a
At least they have
horizontal
a
line,
comforting word.
a line perpendicular to the vertical.
This stuff makes a lot of people angry.
It's even got horizontal stadia, a method of measuring distances wherein the stadia rod is held in a horizontal position and the stadia hairs of the instrument are vertical during the observations.
Horizontal position, what's that?
Horizontal stadia. Nice. It's the two lines above and below the main crosshairs. And within the scope of a level, you know, the tool for observing things. And that is definitely surveying, Yossi. Is that okay for you? Just a few surveying definitions of horizontal that you said were definitely different. Unobtainable on the internet, these things. You have to be given them by surveyors.
Not by surveyors, by the surveying books.
Yeah. That's
And
what
the
I mean.
math
That's what it is. This was given to me. That definition was given to me by one of the globe fanatics. Because paralogisms told him that proved a globe. Because it says that for a planimetric survey is assumed that all verticals are parallel and all horizontals are parallel. So that's just planimetric surveying, right? Local surveying. They're the ones that have all horizontals parallel and verticals parallel. To think about that, it's something really weird concept to imagine that every surveyor that surveys locally assumes parallel horizontals and parallel verticals, but the globe can't have that. That must be really annoying, that, for surveyors, that they want to be able to say have a different definition of horizontal. They want to imagine that surveyors can measure more than 180 degrees in triangles as well, because that's what their model dictates. Oh yeah, look, Essie's got pictures of straight.
Straightest thing in the universe.
Yeah, so they do know what straight is. Right? They definitely must know what straight is. And look at that canal at the side of it.
Did you see what he posted?
Yeah.
We show a picture of the straightest thing in the universe next to a canal of water, and he posts the bit about the curvature of the Earth.
Yeah. Like the Flat Earth thinks that's a flowing stream.
I was just going to ask, is there any significance to the fact that it was built along a canal?
I'm sure
Yeah,
that was just a coincidence.
yeah. Just ask them what happens when you set a level at the end of one of the arms.
Yeah.
See, Betty's going to go for this now. Both the items you marked are true. I didn't mark them. They were handed to me. That's from the McToon's library of the Glober. You can tell because they're all got yellow and red bits on it. Surveying definitions, Betty, yeah. So they're both true. So that for all planimetric surveying, it is assumed that verticals and horizontals are parallel to each other. That's good. It is local surveyors that do that planimetric surveying. That's how differential leveling is achieved, through planimetric surveying. It's good to know that they assume horizontals are parallel. I don't know why there's an argument then. Shouldn't the argument from the globe be, well, yeah, we do. We assume that they're all parallel. T-shirt logic. Yeah, that's assumed by planimetric surveying. That's why T-shirt logic's so good.
It's weird they use it practically.
Mm-hmm.
T-shirt logic. I mean, guys practically every day using it. Crazy.
Yeah, I'm wondering whether there's what the different definition that surveyors use then, if that's true. And Betty's saying it is true, that's what they use, because that's what we've been saying all along, Betty, with T-shirt logic and everything. They are assumed to be parallel. They're measured to be parallel as well. Not only assumed, but measured that way. That's how we use it. We use the geometric principles of vertical and horizontal being perpendicular and them both being parallel to each other. It's crazy. But, yeah. I like it. We're making some progress now, because at least we now know when Betty comes around that he said that. But I didn't mark them. Yozzie gone. It's like, Yozzie, do you like this definition? Betty seems to like it. That they're true. So horizontals, I guess that's does it, right? A horizontal plane is a plane perpendicular to the direction of gravity. And since everybody knows the direction of gravity is vertical, and a horizontal plane is a plane perpendicular to the direction of gravity. The direction of gravity is a plumb bob. Plumb bob establishes a vertical. So a horizontal plane is perpendicular to a vertical. All perpendiculars to that plane will be parallel, assumed parallel, and geometrically parallel, because the one's vertical and the other one's horizontal. Geometric proof. I mean, how can you make it any more simple than that? And how can you go against that sort of a geometric reasoning?
It's too simple. That's the problem. If you were to draw like half a blackboard, worth of calculations, they might start believing you.
Yeah, it's just about straight lines. It's two straight lines. How many circles are there in this picture? It's just two lines that are perpendicular.
You need a whole blackboard of calculations, and then you have to say, if you think you understand it, then you don't understand it.
Yeah. A local perpendicular. As Ian's asking. How long is a straight line? How large is a horizontal plane? You put a size to a plane. How much curvature is there within a plane?
We have been told multiple times the scope of work. I don't know why.
We're going to get round to the equipotential angle of adjustment at some point.
I mean, but yeah.
Oh. I think you roboted out a bit then. Probably a lot. There's some strange things going on. We've got people that admittedly aren't surveyors coming in a YouTube chat to tell us that horizontals, surveyors that they aren't, have a different definition of horizontal to us normal people. Us little nobodies here, you know, just living in reality, have to be informed by people on YouTube chats that another group of people have a different definition of something that's intrinsic to reality for everyone. Therefore, I don't know. Yeah, Ian, we know, because we've been stating for quite a long time that all surveyors survey locally, and all surveyors survey with plane surveying tools. Therefore, every surveyor is a plane surveyor. And therefore, I'm guessing, by that definition, all of them assume that horizontals are parallel and verticals are parallel. Straight. and now take this, right? I'm just going to say a survey in which the figure and size of the earth is considered. That's a survey, right, where they consider the size of the thing that they're surveying. Can you imagine that? A surveyor and size, the figure and size of Earth is considered.
Do we know how they consider it? Do they consider it by using a computer or by using actual measurements?
Well, I'm thinking surveyors, right? A geodetic survey, like
survey.
Yeah, can you go and survey this land, and then you go, well, I don't know, should I consider how big an area I'm meant to be surveying, or should I not consider it? Because that's what you're doing with it according to this definition here. Geodetic Survey. A survey in which the figure and size of the Earth is considered. Well, anybody that does any surveying of any land would have to consider the size of whatever it is they're doing. Right? What tools do you need? What, you know, how much are you going to charge for the job and all of that sort of stuff would need to be considered. So, again, it is applicable for large areas and long lines. Yeah, it's a big job. It has to be considered, right? And is used for the precise location of basic points suitable for controlling other surveys. Yeah, that's surveying. So I'll read it out in whole, right? See if this makes any difference to what you would consider a surveyor would do. A geodetic survey. A survey in which the figure and size of the Earth is considered. It is applicable for large areas and long lines and is used for the precise location of basic points suitable for controlling other surveys. The benchmarks. Simples.
Yeah, but if you're going to survey a plot of Earth to build an airport, you better consider all of it.
Yeah.
The entire figure and shape of it. Why wouldn't you do that?
Of the Earth that you're doing? Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to take up. You're going to have runways all the way down that Earth that you're surveying.
Yeah. Yeah, I only considered this foot here, this square foot here. That's the only bit I considered. Yeah, but we want you to do all of it. Oh no, I just did this bit really, really well. I didn't consider the rest of it. Oh, yeah, here you go. Plane survey. Betty's come with a plane survey. A survey in which the surface of the Earth is considered a plane. I don't think so. That's ridiculous. For small areas, precise results may be obtained with plane surveying methods, but the accuracy and precision of such results will decrease as the area surveyed increases in size. What does that sound like? Obviously, that's from a reputable source. McToon's, you can tell. Because he's got the yellow little marks on it. That's what happens when you put in a word search. That's what McToon did. And WS, actually. And Cosmo, actually, I think. I think Cosmo's got the all of the surveying stuff on McToon's website. Shout out Cosmo if you're listening. I think he was Jeff's mate. Old school. WS's mate too. All surveyors survey locally. Wherever they put their tool down. Right to the other end of the tape measure. All local. Every time. All measurements are obtained locally. By people who are measuring the measurements. Local measurements. All surveyors survey locally because they have to be where they are when they're surveying. You can't survey somewhere remotely. So I'm not too aware. I don't know. You'd have to show me the surveyor that doesn't survey locally, and then see where he gets all of his measurements from first. Even geodetic surveyors will survey locally. I put it to everyone that everyone is a geodetic surveyor. They're all surveyors. They're just surveyors. There's no special surveyors. There might be some who are more qualified, but they all survey locally.
Nobody's going to survey my land from out of state. I'm not going to call some guy in California and have him survey my land. I mean, unless he wants to drive here, but then you'd just be overpaying.
Yeah, he'd have to survey your land locally. He wouldn't be able
He's
to do it.
definitely not going to do it over the phone.
Yeah. I mean, even if he was doing it by a plane, right, he'd still be local to the bit that he's surveying.
Yeah, I would expect him to be flying right overhead.
Yeah. It's a silly idea to imagine that there is something to do with localness within an argument. It's one of those non-argument things. It's a thing that just doesn't make any sense. Why people would think that saying local makes a difference. I went over a clip the other day with Rumpus when he said that locally level is horizontal locally. So, I don't know. I haven't got a clue what's going on. There's people leaving us to have arguments, and they don't even want to be involved in the argument on their side of it. Leave us pointing out both sides of an argument where only one side seems to make any sense. The other side can't talk about it. Archer's posting pictures of the turn it.
Can you believe the comeback he made? Unbelievable. They live in literally in fantasy La La Land, for real.
Yeah.
If they can draw it, they can envision it coming to life like a unicorn or something.
But like Mike's put with that one there, the 5.8, 5.8, 5.8, he actually thinks that makes a hump. 3 coplanar points make a curve.
He agrees to the 90-foot hump. They can't be serious, right? It's got to be a troll. It has to be a troll, right?
That's WS. Hey, WS.
Yeah. That. I'm not saying the troll, and we know he's a troll, but I mean the whole argument. It's got to be a troll, right? That's a troll argument. You can't think that possibly.
It just goes to show that how little of an argument they actually have. That they have to try this delusional, or perhaps it's a paralogism, right? That they literally think that plotting of points on a 5.8, 5.8, 5.8 elevation means it's a circle. They really think an elevation, staying static, a same elevation, is a circle.
It's amazing. It truly is amazing.
I mean, all you got to do is stick some toothpicks in a little foam ball.
And bam.
Bam.
Yeah. Yeah, level and horizontal, though, separate one. That's the difference between them on their model. is one of them's a straight line and one of them's a circle, but not everybody on the globe side sees it the same. Yeah, Ian Adams, mass psychosis. Yeah, paralogism's taught and then just sort of vanished away. Left people leaving themselves in a state of confusion.
How many curves are there between the Lake Rakia Causeway, Archer? Is it one big one or multiple humps?
Is there a bigger hump if you go lengthways along it than widthways?
I would suggest from the side. Because it's, it's a visual. According to them, it's more pronounced from the side. Because if you go from the top, you might confuse it for being straight. You might not notice that 90-foot hump of water.
I can't wait till we get that. Well, I mean, I've heard that Blue's done a video, and I don't know whether it's worth going over it yet. It might be getting embarrassing for them. But yeah, the Blue's redone the hump. Archer's sticking up for Blue. So we've got Jesse Kozlowski pointing out that there's a hump. 3 coplanar points make a curve. Apparently. Blue comes along and reinforces it once again. Sorry, Hoymark Brink comes back and brings... he started off with Soundly's pictures. And that quickly got dismissed because we pointed out about the pool cue and all of that sort of stuff. So then he went to Jesse Kozlowski and the hump, the drop hump Kozlowski conundrum, we called it. So he went fully endorsed the hump. Then Blue picked it up. And Blue has tripled down on the 90-foot hump. He's claimed to unclamp the horizontal and cause that hump.
He brought us the unclamping. Thank you, Blue.
Yeah. Oh, see, Ian Adams is asking for Sly's bending water level test. Thank you very much, Ian. Yeah, that should be due for him doing that. He's doing Bug Light, I heard. He was saying it on Jose's that he would be doing it soon. That's brilliant. I'm just waiting to see what the method is and what he hopes to achieve with that. I don't think he'll be doing the leaking one. It's 16 water levels and he won't get what he wants to have. Zep Tepe's thinking everybody's obsessed about the earth like he is. You know, this thing about where people imagine everybody else is like they are. Well, everybody who comes round here that's absolutely obsessed with Big E, they imagine everybody else is also totally obsessed by it themselves. And he wants there to be millions of horizontal level earthers. They just don't give a shit. Is that Tepe? I've been talking to a few people recently. Nobody gives a shit about the earth. Not anymore. Why would anybody care about anything like that? Who said that the community was going to grow? Oh, yeah, Rumpus test. I don't know who you've been talking to, Zeptepi. I've always said that the stuff we do triggers too many people. The stuff we do is for a very small crowd. I know we're never going to get growing because we're a small community that trigger the shit out of people. And there's a load of people who are obsessed with us, and they are really bad trolls, and they do all sorts of stuff to keep people away. Why would anybody want to come into this sort of a community? I don't know why people are here myself. I think we're lucky enough to have found the people that we have that come in and talk to us. Most people would not stick around in this to get the abuse that everybody gets. We're trying to get out. Zeppy, come in and have a chat if you want to. Do you not think we deserve to get people growing? I don't think people I mean, nobody wants to come and talk to us because you get people like Rumpus and Fight the Flat Earth and all of that. Even Gem Panda. Everybody calls us all sorts of stuff. Why would anybody want to come and get involved in this? We just trigger too many people. And those people get really upset at being triggered. Exposing cog dis to people. Pointing out people's cog dis to themselves. Getting people who are obsessed with the earth, the shape of things. People who can't talk about logic, who keep coming round telling us that we don't understand logic, don't understand geometry. People who want to unclamp humps. Hey, look at that. Trolls are on one today. Keep coming back. Everybody else isn't triggered, Zeptepi. Did I mention triggered? Maybe. People get upset about us saying that level is horizontal. People get upset at us showing geometric proofs. And that's a bit upsetting that people don't understand what a geometric proof is. Even though everybody's meant to be really academic and really... well, I know for a fact that Blue says he's an engineer. And he doesn't seem to understand what a horizontal is. Doesn't understand the implications of putting a hump. Zeptepi's asking stupid questions in the chat. Is anybody getting upset? Yeah, Blue's definitely getting upset, Zeptepi. That's what we were mainly thinking about. He gets upset at everybody saying things about him and then says it out. Zeptepi's got the whole scientific community on side. Yeah, nobody's upset, Septepi. Nobody cares. Except, I think, the people that come into YouTube chats. Maybe getting a little bit upset commenting in YouTube chats. If you come in and have a chat. Has anybody got any other things to go over? I found myself talking to YouTube trolls in the comment section. Nobody else is saying anything.
Yeah, I got some final words for them people up there in the YouTubes. Fuck you, YouTubes. Yeah, I don't know what that is from Redmond, but hot mic.
Sorry.
Zeptepi, I do not need people to be upset. I'm fine. We're just carrying on doing what we do. It's a shame. Right, what time are we at? 11:15. Anybody got anything else? Or are we going to call it a day for the hump day? Gone over geometric proofs that have been denied, and no doubt they will continue to be denied, with the claim that some surveying textbooks apparently have different definitions of horizontal, and that means that geometric proofs don't relate to reality somehow, because surveyors have a different definition of horizontal, apparently. Although, if you ever ask a surveyor, they won't. Just in the minds of globe fanatics. Anyone got any Buster tracks they want playing on the way out? Have a look, what have we got? Oh, we've got a You Don't Understand LIGO and the Hump from George and Blue. That'll do. Right, tomorrow Betty's coming in to have a talk with Kevin and Ravens, but Kevin and Ravens are going to do their thing first. So I'd suggest, Betty, if you want to come round, leave it a little bit later. Let Kevin and Ravens do their thing. I think we're going over a recap. Zeptepi, I cannot go to Blues. Blue has banned us all from his. So please point out to Blue that nobody can go over to Blues because Blue has banned everybody from going over to his. Tell Blue that if he's so keen on trying to get people to go over to his channel, that he might want to come over here, Zeptepi, and ask people to do it himself rather than sending other people to come and ask, can you come over to Blues, please? Bev, Blue wants you to go over to his server. He did tell you that he has banned everybody, didn't he, Zeptepi? He didn't. You can get him to unban us. Look, if Zeptepi has the power to get Blue to unban him. No, because what would happen? Go on, Zeptepi. You go and get Blue to unban us, and then I'll accept the invite from Blue to come over to his. So thank you very much, Zeptepi. Yeah, if you're letting us know that Blue wants us to go over to his server, get Blue to unban us, and then we'll put a thing in. Blue can send his request in as to what we want the subject to be talked about and the timings that when he would want us to do all of that. Yeah, Zeptepi, Blue banned everyone. Literally everyone from his server. He got all butthurt that people might be reading what's wrote on his server. He has George, he has people that say some really nasty things about people, and I don't think he wanted everybody seeing that, so. Right, I'm going to going over the LIGO and the Hump, because then it's Hump Day. George, Buster, and thanks, Zeptepi. Sort it out with Blue. Maybe Mobius as well. Mobius is due to do something with Blue. And maybe Rakia as well. Rakia wants to do something about Blue. Or maybe Askin. I think Askin might have got banned from Blues. Gets banned from everywhere just for being associated with us. So join us tomorrow. We'll be going over the Trivium with Kevin and Raven, and an appearance from Betty. See you tomorrow.
If you were to put a bubble level on like the intersection of LIGO, that would be level. If you were to walk down the arm and place it on top of that, I would say it would not be level. That would be another good.
So you say at the split point, that's where it's level on both arms?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's where they leveled it.
So.
And what are the arms? What are the arms? If the center is level, how do you envision?
No, he said no, not the center. The apex where they both meet.
Oh, the apex.
Yeah, it's different.
So
It's changed.
how do you envision the end of the arms then? The other two ends.
They're just gonna go straight, and this is in the engineering.
The end of the arms. At the end, you have the apex, and you have two arms running along, right?
Yeah.
How are they? Are they in the same level as the apex, or how do you envision them? Higher, lower?
So at the ends of the arm, they had to pour more concrete because it was at a higher elevation.
It's not what I asked you. It's not what I asked you. When the job was done, you have your apex, it's level.
Mm-hmm.
Either arm, how are they in relation to the apex?
They're flat.
Oh,
They're straight. They're straight.
Yeah.
Are they also
Straight
level?
No. They are... at each spot, they are not level. They like if you put a bubble level on the apex and you started moving down the arm, it would get off and more off level.
How? Towards the up or towards the down?
With the bubble level, it would either go left or right.
No, hold on a second. You have a level at the apex, and you have two arms running, and I'm asking, you say they're not level at the ends. So I'm asking you, are they lower than the apex or higher than the apex?
They have a higher elevation than the apex.
So they're higher than... Wow.
So the horizontal raises in elevation for you. No, you said it would be higher.
Hold on. The horizontal plane that was established at the apex will diverge from the surface of the earth. The horizontal plane stays straight, but the level water starts diverging from the straightness.
What? How do you envision that? You envision level water diverging from straightness?
Yes, I do.
Wow.
Level is a curve. And water is level.
That's my model dictates, right?
No,
yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
reality. But as I was saying, like, if we go back to the straight line test, you would be able to see which one's true. If water is curved, then there will be an angle. If level water is curved, there will be an angle between B, A, and C. If water level is straight, then all of them will be collinear. It's a test.
I don't think there's any possibility of reaching you, bro. I just don't think so.
If we do the test, that would reach me.
At what point is vertical not perpendicular to horizontal?
It always is. Every vertical is perpendicular to its horizontal.
To its horizontal. And
yes.
What is a horizontal?
It's 90 degrees from its vertical, and vertical is defined from the plumb bob. I wonder if I could do it, because over a short distance, you might be able to use the Autolite map and a water level.
I mean, he obviously doesn't understand what level is.
You don't understand. Hold on.
It's not my problem if you don't want to learn. You're just on your own.
I can guarantee you there will be a hump in the middle. If you side across from one side to the other,
just take my word for it, bro.
No, don't take my word for it. Do it. I can guarantee you there will be a hump in the middle. There will be.
I can guarantee there will be a hump in the middle.
There will be.
Yeah.
I can guarantee you there will be a hump in the middle.
Go and speak to anyone. Go up to someone that you know and just say, "Here, mate, is level horizontal?"
Yeah.
Let's see what he says.
Horizontal, of course, level's horizontal.
Well, there you go then.
With level, especially when you do it on a small scale. Okay, if you're talking about the water level, the horizontal plane that a water level establishes is in the middle of the water level.
You would have to understand what a line is.
You don't understand.
I mean, he obviously doesn't understand what level is.
It's not my problem if you don't want to learn.
Hold on.
You're just on your own.
Begging for your model to be real.
You would have to understand what a line is.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
So logically it follows then that all perpendiculars to that line
You don't understand.
are parallel to each other.
Yes, I agree.
It also then follows that that line cannot be curved line or change angle anywhere along the line.
That line, yes. So this straight line we are using cannot bend because it's straight. I agree. That line, yes. So this straight line we are using cannot bend because it's straight. I agree. This straight line we are using cannot bend because it's straight. I agree.
You don't understand.
I mean, he obviously doesn't understand what level is.
You don't understand.
You would have to understand what a line is.
It's not my problem if you don't want to learn.
You don't understand.
Just on your own.
You might be able to use the Autolite map and a water level.
No reason, no logic, no wisdom, no worries.
You don't understand.
You're just on your own.
Begging for your model to be
No
real.
reason, no logic, no answers to questions.
You don't understand.
You're just on your own.
Begging for your model to be real.
You know what we call a vertical change? You know when we measure a vertical change.
Yeah, it's an elevation change.
Yeah, a vertical measurement in the vertical.
Yeah, because it's a good approximation of the short distance.
So you're saying that horizontal being straight would get a measurement from the... Oh, wait a minute. You use a tool called a level that establishes a horizontal, and then from that horizontal you measure a vertical change, don't you?
I'm saying that the...
You do though, don't you? Right? Do you understand that, right? You use a tool called a level that establishes a horizontal, and you measure a vertical change from that horizontal. And what do we call that vertical change again?
Elevation change. That's not
a reference to the horizontal, obviously.
But I'm in reality, like, that's why I'm thinking of actually doing this test. In reality, specifically say that horizontal is actually not a plane. Your misunderstanding of my model is not my problem. It's up to you to understand it.
You don't understand. Hold on.
I mean, he obviously doesn't understand what level means.
It's not my problem if you don't want to learn. You're just on your own.
I have no problem with you all using the water level to establish a horizontal plane. It will be tangent to the curve of the earth. They would maintain the same elevation. But remember, levels occur. So then is a vertical angle just a right angle? Grab a water level, that same water level test, and sight across it. That's it. Anything that is 90 degrees from that plane will be parallel to the vertical that you established at that point. Whenever y'all ask me about surveying, I say, yeah, I'm not an expert. I defer to the experts.
I know, we'll carry on, but I don't think it's... I mean, he obviously doesn't understand what level means.
You don't understand.
Hold on. You don't understand.
It's not my problem if you don't want to learn. You're just on your own.
We don't use proof in reality, that's pseudoscience. Or you can use it for math and logic. I don't claim to know anything about surveying.
Have you ever held a water level?
Have I held a water level, the tool? No, but it's a pretty simple concept.
Say, they're even so bold over there, you guys. They believe horizontals are parallel.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of proof before? Like real
proof doesn't exist in reality. It only exists in math and theoretics.
With your picture, then. Thank you.
No, I'm not trying to prove anything.
Hold on.
No,
I'm showing you evidence that the Earth is a globe.
Prove stuff.
No, I'm bringing evidence that the Earth is a globe.
Hold on.
Why would I try to prove something? That's pseudoscience. We don't use proof in reality. That's pseudoscience.
Hold on. You don't understand.
I mean, he obviously doesn't understand what level means.
It's not my problem if you don't want to learn. You're just on your own.
My God.
22 years old. They're on the fucking internet talking to people about begging for your model to be real. It's bizarre.
You're just on your own.
Begging for your model to be real.
No logic, no answers to questions.
You don't understand.
You're just on your own.
Begging for your model to be real.
He thinks the zero pressure state in the water is an arc instead of a straight line.
Yeah. I'm not laughing at Tom. I'm laughing at the theoretical conversation. Hey, there's some people who think level is horizontal and they want you all to talk about. And also, yeah, parallel and vertical being 90 degrees from one another. And in math, typically when you establish a horizontal plane, in math, yeah, it's just one horizontal.
Typically.
Reality to describe something other than